himself from his subjects, choosing to fill his court only with the beautiful, wealthy, and aristocratic, while the ordinary citizen was rarely invited to the palace or given the opportunity to see the monarch. And whereas the common people rebelled against the king and gathered to proclaim one of their own to reign as the ugly king or the people's king, and whereas this celebration of the populace traveled to the New World and Rey Feo was formally invited to be a part of Fiesta in 1980 with the principal purpose of raising funds to provide scholarships to deserving youth. And whereas Dr. Damoso Danny Oliva Jr. Has been chosen as Rey Feo 77 and will represent the Rey Feo Scholarship Foundation during the 2026 Fiesta activities, supporting its mission and fundraising efforts. And whereas during his reign, Rey Feo and his court will encourage thousands of young people to stay in school, respect their teachers and parents, and be good citizens. And he will serve as a goodwill ambassador for the city and its citizens throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, Gina Ortiz-Jones, Mayor of the City of San Antonio, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim April 17th, 2026, respectively, to be Rey Feo Day in San Antonio, Texas, and extends best wishes for a most successful reign. Rey Feo, please.
Well, thank you, Mayor and City Councilman. We, as Rey Feo, we are the people's king, and what we do more than anything else is raise funds for education. We use Fiesta as our platform to launch these things. What we have to realize as a city, Fiesta gives us this opportunity for over 160, 170 events. They're all charities. And people don't realize that it's not just a party, but it's a party with a purpose. And this year's theory is all of us together, right? If to go on with our chairperson, Ms. Fern Burney, I say we're a paella, right? Because especially we have a mayor, and the paella was for the queen, and so you are a queen, mayor. And so, we want to include everyone, and that's what the paella is. Everything is added, everything is going on, but our main mission is the kids of San Antonio and to raise funds because we feel that education is the greatest equalizer. Education is hope. If we can make it where it's expected for us to get higher education, so we donate funds to St. Philip's for, all the trade schools. We also donate, we're going to be donating to Alamo Promise, where this is one thing that we have to attribute to our city and our community colleges, that every student that graduates here in San Antonio gets 2 years free education. And that is a tribute to y'all and what the city has and does for its community. But we just want to say, as Rey Feo, and we just want to say, Viva Mayor, Viva San Antonio, and Viva Fiesta. Thank you, guys.
Viva! Viva! Rey Feo! Viva!
Nayosa will be next. Whereas the City of San Antonio recognizes that the Conservation Society of San Antonio's 78th presentation of A Night in Old San Antonio, NIOSA, will be held April 21st through 24th, 2026 in the La Villita Historic Arts Village. And whereas what began as a harvest festival at Mission San Jose to celebrate the heritage of the city's early settlers has grown into one of the nation's largest historic preservation celebrations, showcasing San Antonio's unique and diverse cultural traditions. And whereas the four-night event, produced by thousands of dedicated and enthusiastic volunteers, features 14 culturally themed areas and more than 155 food, beverage, and atmosphere booths, providing entertainment for more than 85,000 attendees. And whereas proceeds from NIOSA support the Conservation Society's mission to restore and preserve historic properties, parks, waterways, traditions, and the intangible heritage of our multicultural city and neighboring counties through education, advocacy, grants, and preservation projects. Now, therefore, I, Gina Ortiz-Jones, Mayor of the City city of San Antonio. In recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim April 21st through 24th, that's giving you more time, April 21st through 24th, 2026, to be a night in Old San Antonio Days in San Antonio, Texas, and offer best wishes to the Conservation Society of San Antonio for a successful celebration for preservation. Please.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Ortiz, City Council. My name is Julie Terrell. I am honored to be the chairman of the 78th presentation of A Night in Old San Antonio. Allow me to introduce Louis Vetter, president of the Conservation Society. You had a few words real quick? Yes. Okay, that's enough.
This is how this organization is run. Mayor Ortiz and council, and all the visitors here, I certainly thank you for the support that you provide us. It's such a pleasure and a gift for the city of San Antonio. But really, the Conservation Society of San Antonio is really blessed as well. And it's through this amazing team of people that Julie Terrell leads as the fourth vice president and chairman of NIOSA that makes it possible. It's 4 days of fun, celebration, and where, like everybody, whether you call it NIOSA or NIOSA, it's the same party, so everybody should come for that one. And it really does help our contributions to our children as well as our important preservation efforts. Thank you.
Okay, let me finish this up. I want to also introduce you to my treasurer, Deanna Kesey, and my vice chair, Anita Gonzalez. The rest of my chairmen are working. We're already setting up. We're putting up fences today to get ready for the 21st. A Night in Old San Antonio benefits our community by celebrating and preserving the customs and culture unique to our region, which is why it has become the premier, most loved Fiesta events and the largest fundraiser in the country for historic preservation. Community support is accomplished through the preservation, education, and research programs of the Conservation Society, which provides resources for restoration, rehabilitation for historical properties and San Antonio area, including in the city-owned La Vita Historic Arts Village. Over the past 10 years, NIOSA has generated over $5 million to the city, including millions to La Vita Fund. We appreciate the city of San Antonio on behalf of preservation. Viva Fiesta! Viva. Hello! Viva NIOSA! Come on, y'all.
Viva!
Okay, also, look in your little goodie koozie cup. There's a special medal in there that you have to hold in your hand, and you say a little prayer. It's for that four-letter word that we're not allowed to say so we can have a successful Fiesta event. Okay, now everybody, Viva Fiesta! Viva! Thank you all. Okay.
All right. Next is the Battle of Flowers Parade. Whereas the city of San Antonio recognizes that the Battle of Flowers Parade will take place on April 24th, 2026, with the theme From Pages to Possibilities, where storytelling, imagination, and dreams leap off the page, take flight, and bloom into vibrant flower-filled wonders, and will be led by Grand Marshal Tim Morrow, President and CEO of San Antonio Zoo. And whereas established 135 years ago, the Battle of Flowers Parade is the founding event and oldest parade of Fiesta San Antonio, attracting more than 350,000 spectators from across the nation and serving as the pinnacle of San Antonio's Fiesta celebration since 1891. And whereas the parade is one of the few in the country produced by an all-woman volunteer organization whose mission is to honor Texas history and heritage by engaging community through celebration, education, and service. And now with more than 400 active members, this dedicated group of women in bright yellow hats continues a vibrant, living tradition honoring the heroes of the Battle of the Alamo, the Goliad Massacre, and the Battle of San Jacinto. And whereas through the philanthropic efforts of the Battle of Flowers, the organization awards scholarships and grants that benefit students and schools throughout the community while dazzling audiences with flower-covered floats, giant helium balloons, marching bands, and Fiesta royalty. Now, therefore, I, Gina Ortiz-Jones, Mayor of the City of San Antonio, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 to be Fiesta Battle of Flowers Parade Day in San Antonio, Texas. Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. My name is Kathleen LaFleur, and I'm honored to serve as president of Battle of Flowers Association. On behalf of our entire organization, thank you for including us in today's meeting and the opportunity to share our story with the City Council. Joining me today is Helen Meyer, Parade Vice President, and Ana Melissa Cavazos, Band Festival Vice President, and all of the officers of our Board of Directors. This April 24th, when the first Fiesta float winds its way onto the streets of San Antonio, Battle of Flowers will proudly mark its 135th year of producing this beloved springtime event. What began in 1891 as a single parade to honor Texas independence has now evolved into a dynamic force for civic engagement, education, and cultural heritage. This year's From Pages to Possibilities parade will feature 200 entries and 10,000 participants representing all facets of San Antonio. As a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization, we remain true to our mission to celebrate Texas history and remain committed to commemorating our past while championing education, service, and community. Thank you all for the honor of speaking with you here today. We appreciate you. And viva Fiesta. Thank you.
Okay. And the final proclamation is with Fiesta Flambeau. Whereas the City of San Antonio recognizes that the Fiesta Flambeau Parade Association will host its 78th annual Fiesta Flambeau Night Parade on April 25th, 2026, with this year's theme, Adventures in Toyland, led by Grand Marshal Chamu and crew and Honorary Grand Marshals Ronald McDonald and friends. Whereas in French, the word flambeau means flaming torch, and when the sun sets, more than 1 million lights from the largest illuminated night parade in the nation shine throughout the streets of downtown San Antonio, illuminating radiant royal courts in their lighted finery and showcasing performers, marching bands, and dance teams adorned head to toe in illuminated costumes, all set against the backdrop of a starry night. And whereas the Fiesta Flambeau Parade has been named the best in the world by the International Festivals and Events Association and best in Texas by the Texas Festivals and Events Association, and is enjoyed by more than 800,000 spectators along its route, as well as an additional 1.5 million television viewers. And whereas since its founding in 1948, the Fiesta Flambeau Parade Association has celebrated the rich and diverse culture and heritage of the Alamo City by producing a parade that enhances the celebration of Fiesta San Antonio and attracts visitors from across the globe to share the joy of Fiesta. Now, therefore, I, Gina Ortiz-Jones, Mayor of the City of San Antonio, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2026 to be Fiesta Flambeau Parade Night in San Antonio, Texas. Please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erwin DeLuna, and I'm the current 2026 Fiesta Flambeau Parade President. I'd like to also joined here today by board members Sebastian, who is our parade director, Dolores, our public relations, Casey, who is our marshaling director, Cecilia, who is our compliance, and Madeline, our treasurer. We have a good group of people that are working very hard to make sure it's successful this year. Since its inception, the parade's purpose is to plan, to organize and produce and stage the Fiesta Flambeau Parade during Fiesta to enhance the experience of Fiesta for all our visitors and those citizens of San Antonio and the surrounding area. This year, the parade will be seen, as you said, by a lot of people, but it'll also be seen both in English and in Spanish for all our television at the same time. So we're very happy to be able to have that this year. It's something we've worked for a long time. We're excited about this year's Grand Marshal. You've heard about it earlier with Chamu and Ronald McDonald, both beloved characters here in San Antonio and very well supportive of us all the time. The scripts are being finalized. The Texas Longhorn Band will lead this year's parade again. We have 37 additional bands that will be in the parade from local and state sections across the state of Texas. We also have we're working nationally recognized Houston County Schools All-Star Band from Alabama, and 5 additional out-of-state bands, as well as 1 band from Mexico participating. Additionally, we'll have 63 floats from groups and organizations around the state of Texas. Locally, the floats are being produced by a local producer, Creative Parade Studios, and they're going to bring WOW to the parade this year with all our floats. So we're very excited. We want to thank the City of San Antonio for all your support, because without your support, we couldn't do it. And we're looking forward to the mayor, the police chief, and the fire chief all being part of the parade and traveling down the streets of San Antonio and being wowed by all the citizens of San Antonio. And we want to thank you all for that. And to that, Viva Fiesta! Viva! Thank you.
I know my colleagues would like to say a few comments. Let me just, thank you for being here today. It's always a very special time in our community, a great time to celebrate, and really a great time to also showcase the wonderful representation of service all throughout. I mean, each of you are volunteer organizations and work on this year-round to put on a great show, not only for our community, but as you all mentioned, for the thousands of visitors, hundreds of thousands of visitors, and as I mentioned, also those that will come to experience San Antonio through their television. I can think of my own Fiesta experiences, having been on a parade in the Battle of Flowers when John Jay was in there, and our theme was Grease. I won't tell you which character I was. I was also I was also a pooper scooper one year at the Battle of Flowers parade, and then of course we had the opportunity with the Philippine Women of America to be in the Fiesta Flambeau, where we proudly showed our shoes. So it's a very special event for our community. Thank you again for all the hard work that you have done and will do, and of course put our best foot forward for our city. Thank you. I know my colleagues would like to say something. I'll start over here. Councilman Munguia.
Thank you, Mayor. I was most prepared. First of all, thank you all so much for being here and adding all this color and fun to our meeting. And with all the bags, it's certainly something that we needed here, so thank you for that. And, as the Mayor said, while it's such a large event and a lot of fun, we have to remember all the purpose that's behind it and all the fundraising that y'all do and the tie to education, which is one of the most important issues of our city, and y'all are there plugged into that, so thank you so much for that. It also happens to be my partner Kelly's favorite time of the year, so this is the most fun that we're going to have this year, so we're very excited for that. And I also want to take the opportunity to plug rideshare and via opportunities for our residents and for all of us here today. We need to make sure that we get to places safely to and from, and this time of year is always precarious and there's extra precautions made, but we want to make sure people remember the tools they have in front of them. Maybe not Waymo, but there are plenty of other options there. And I want to, based on what the mayor just said, I want to propose another group to add to Fiesta, perhaps, maybe the Order of the Pooper Scoopers. And the first year could be all of us, I think. That would be fun for all of us to do that role. But thank you all so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you all at all the events and for supporting our kids in the city of San Antonio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. And if we are not there when you're there for the Pooper Scooper, just wait. We're on the way. Councilman McKee Rodriguez.
I don't know how to follow that. Hello, friends. I think there's a few things that I love about San Antonio. One, we can march. We have some of the largest marches in the country. We can parade. We have some of the largest parades in the country. We can party, obviously, biggest party, most fun party in the country. And then we also can serve. And I appreciate that each one of you, in addition to the lives that you live outside of your roles here, you're also contributing and giving back to our community in such a meaningful way to not just our economy, but to people who really, really depend on the services that you are helping provide and that you're helping to empower? Let's go with that one. I look forward to attending each of the events. I look forward to getting to see each of you. Is the person who made our stoles and sashes here? the team? Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you at the River Parade. What I also want to convey, I give a challenge to y'all every year. Y'all remember what the challenge is? So when I look into the crowd, I'm looking for the salad, right? I'm looking for the paella. I'm looking for all the different pieces that could be missing. And, you know, I'm wondering, where's the Beverly Watts Davises of the world? Where's the Tony Gradneys, the Bonnie and Francine? There's people that I feel like could be here and could be of service, and I'd love to see a little bit more representation from the Black community specifically. I know that you guys are each committed to diversity and inclusion and all of these things, and I would love to see next year just a little bit more. So that's my small challenge. Wouldn't be me if I didn't give it. But again, thank you all so much for your service and for your willingness to contribute to San Antonio in such a meaningful way. Thank you all.
Councilman Galvan.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for everybody who came out today, who make Fiesta possible every single year and such an incredible success. Fiesta is one of my favorite times of year. I've been a long-time Fiesta medal collector, and for those who have already asked me, the medal's on its way. And the sash will be worn next week when Fiesta starts. But nonetheless, very excited to have it all come together. I want to reiterate some things that my colleagues have said, of course. Thank you again for all the folks here who are as committed to public service every single day, not just at this time of year, but year-round, who help make strengthen our education system here and help strengthen public services all across this entire city that many of our communities rely on. And I also have to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having the Longhorn Band lead the Flambeau Parade once again. I am a proud Longhorn and always very excited to have them lead the Flambeau Parade. So I'm excited to be there and hook 'em. Viva Fiesta.
Councilmember Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, everyone. Just wanted to commend each and every one of you all and y'all's organizations for all y'all do to ensure that San Antonio continues to party with a purpose. As already stated, the amount of impact that y'all have with the fundraising is unmeasurable, right? And I think back to my time at Collins Garden Elementary School where Rey Feo would come, give us a medal, share what kind of work they were doing, but of course, read stories to residents. And I know it's not limited just to District 5, but as mentioned, it's all throughout the city of San Antonio in which y'all have impact and give back. And I can't count the amount of times that I volunteered alongside your organizations, whether it's with the House of Neighborly Services to wrap gifts for kids or seniors. But it's such a great impact that each of your organizations have. And I would be just remiss if I didn't highlight the ways in which it keeps giving back, right? So I appreciate the history and you walking us through the first Fiesta medal, because every year our constituents ask, what's the medal going to look like? What is it? When can I grab one, right? But it's provided us as a council office an opportunity to also give back. For example, last year, for a donation of Pampers, we were trading our medals for Parenting Plus, a nonprofit that provides parents with resources and parenting classes. And this year, we're fundraising to help give back to SAISD teachers that live within District 5. So we're trading our Fiesta medal for a donation and a gift card, so that way when we go back to school, we can contribute to our teachers that live in the district to do whatever they'd like in their class. So just wanted to appreciate and highlight the work that you all do, and then of course allowing us as an office an opportunity to also continue to give back. Now, we won't be raising the millions, though I would like to, in terms of the Fiesta medals, but we know the impact that y'all have is very great. Extremely grateful for the work that each and every one of you all do with your designated organization. Thank y'all, and Viva Fiesta.
Councilmember Kaur.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all so much for everything that you do for Fiesta in all of your different respective ways. I had a chance to actually sit with Karina yesterday, and I also had a chance to talk to someone yesterday where we were discussing that people literally plan their entire conferences and trips around Fiesta, and then you all have to maneuver and figure out a way to make it possible. So we just want to thank you all for everything that you do, because it is truly the highlight of our city. Everyone plans their year and all of the celebrations around this event, and we know what it is. It's, again, the reason why I love it the most is because it's not just Mardi Gras where, no offense, I feel like you're just partying, but this is actually partying with a purpose. So every single event that happens is a fundraiser, and we're funding something, whether it's a student trying to pay for books in college, whether it's a little league baseball field that you guys are helping with lights on, whatever you all are fundraising for, it will go to better our community. And that is what we have to remember, even through the tricky conversations that we know we have, is that we are doing this collectively as a whole for our community. So I thank you all for everything that you do, and Viva Fiesta!
Viva. Councilmember Aldrete Gavito.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. This is definitely like my favorite city council meeting of the year. Fiesta is the most beautiful time of the year. I want to make sure I don't forget anything, but first off, I want to thank the Fiesta Commission, Steve, Fern, Allison, Jim, and all y'all's teams. Thank you so much for organizing all of this for the whole city. So we really appreciate all y'all's work. I know y'all start the day after Fiesta starts. Fiesta is over. So thank you so much. And yes, Fern is a District 7 resident, so I'm especially excited about that. We are all going to make memories at the Texas Cavaliers River Parade. It's such a beautiful parade every year. That is just such a phenomenal evening. I mean, the city looks so beautiful. So thank y'all so much for all that y'all do there. Ray Feo, yes, Councilwoman Castillo, we all remember, I know y'all visited my daughter's school. I think y'all are especially proud of the beautiful and smart Karina Aguion there. So thank y'all so much for all that y'all do and all the funds that y'all raise for scholarships. It is truly remarkable work. NIOSA, I know our District 7 resident, Patty, is extremely involved in. If y'all haven't had a Maria's tortilla, y'all need to get one because they are so good. And this is actually just, where did it go? This is so beautiful, this NIOSA Fiesta medal. It's really nice, a job well done. Battle of Flowers, I take my girls every single year, and it's just one of those core memories that all San Antonians have of being at the Battle of Flowers parade. So I know it's no easy lift, so thank y'all so much for all that y'all do for the city. And I know that we work with SAPOA to make sure everybody's safe there. So thank y'all so much for all y'all's efforts there. And then Fiesta Flambeau, Mr. DeLuna has known me since I was at St. Paul's. So it's nice to see you leading that effort. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing event this year, and I'm looking forward to taking my girls there. But, all of our efforts combined, really help the city shine. Again, like I said, it is the most beautiful time of the year in San Antonio, and to know it is all purpose-driven, it's a reflection of our city, it's a reflection of our community. So thank y'all so much for y'all's efforts. Thank you.
Councilwoman Mesa Gonzalez.
Thank you everyone for being here today. I heard salad, I heard paella, but I did not hear chicken on a stick. So hopefully we do not forget the original chicken on a stick. Thank you to Fiesta Commission, Battle of Flowers, NIOSA, the Texas Cavaliers, Ray Feo Court, the Fiesta Flambeau Parade, and everybody that's not here that's doing the work to make these next 10 days so special for our city. Most of the events happen downtown, but it really does touch every part of our city. I see Mr. Nick Garza, a former Ray Feo, number 40, and I think they're on number 70 now. So he is my neighbor in District 8. And there's just a lot of wonderful people in this room, like everyone has said, as volunteers that are doing so much, and the love really shows through. So we recently went to Texas Cavaliers Art Contest to celebrate Catherine Pyle, our District 8 finalist, who's a fourth grader at Northside ISD, Carnahan Elementary. It was a wonderful event. Those kids were so happy to be there. Just to be finalist was just so exciting. The work that you're doing in our schools and with VIA, which was great, that their art pieces are going to be driving around all of San Antonio. So we in District 8 are hosting a Fiesta Medal giveaway. We're having 4 of those, and those are supporting Animal Care Services and the San Antonio Humane Society. We have a number of medal meetups in District 8, donating any item of pet food or dog food or cat food, and you will receive a medal. So we're doing our part in District 8 to support Fiesta, and Viva Fiesta.
Councilmember White.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, what we know in this room is we have a special, unique culture here in San Antonio that is ours. And never or nowhere is it seen more than during the couple of weeks of Fiesta. We are a collection of personalities, different groups from all different backgrounds with different ideas, and we all come together during these 2 weeks to not only celebrate San Antonio, but do it for a good cause. And I won't belabor many of the points made by my colleagues, but I'm thrilled you're all here. I'm excited about the next 2 weeks, and I'm very grateful more than anything for everything that you all do for this city, because it is a team effort, and for San Antonio to be what it is, we need everybody pulling on the same end of the rope, doing their part to make this a better place. And you all are a shining example of that. Thank you for what you do, and Viva Fiesta.
Okay. Thank you again. We don't have any points of personal privilege. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Spears, please.
Thank you. I got to tell y'all, I'm just so excited. This is my first Fiesta up on council, and I love Fiesta. It makes our city just so special. All of you look stunning in the regalia, and I just love the pomp and circumstance of this. It's just almost magical. And I really love the tradition and the spirit that this brings our city together. No matter what we look like, where we come from, we are all friends and family in San Antonio around Fiesta. And I just am excited to be a part of it in a different way this year. The parades, the festivals, the chicken on a stick. Yes, she's right. We go around trying all the different chicken on a sticks, and we love that. But thank you so much for what you're doing for our community, and especially to the Fiesta Commission for the money you're raising for the charities and for the kids, because that's what this is really all about. And we're doing it disguised as a party, and that's super slick. I think that's really a good strategy there. So it's important to recognize all the nonprofits and organizations that take part, and this is a big deal for a lot of them. This is a really big part of their year. So I encourage all of the residents, especially in D9 and all over the city, to be involved. I also want to say that thank you to our first responders for all you're doing to keep us safe as we party along all for 2 weeks. And I want to remind everybody to take the VIA link, take the Uber, and use the Stone Oak Park and Ride. We have like several events out that we're taking a part in. So. But again, just thank you so much for all you're doing. And this is what makes us unmistakably San Antonio, right? So, Viva Fiesta, y'all.
Councilmember Viagran.
Thank you. I hope you all can hear me. I'm going to keep it quick. Thank you so much for everybody who came presented. I am very excited about the Fiesta. I don't know what I can pick first that I like the most. But I do want to give a shout out to the Fiesta Commission and Steve's appointment to the Visit San Antonio Board. I also want to congratulate Tim as the Grand Marshal for the Battle of Flowers. You know, I really want one of the gorillas there, but we'll take you instead. And a great call to the Battle of Flowers Association and the night parade. While I didn't go to UT, it's okay that you start with them. So I thank you all so much. I look forward to seeing you all there and getting my chicken on a stick from Nyosa. Thanks.
Thank you. I know the council would like to take a picture. So if the person that spoke would join us for a picture up front. Thank you. Nothing else going on. Thank you again to everybody. The next item is the city manager's report. Maria, over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. For this city manager's report, what I would like to do is provide the council with an update of the resolution that was approved by this body on February the 12th related to supporting evaluation of strategies to protect all San Antonians. We did the first report on an update of those actions to this body on March the 5th. So what we're gonna do today is give you an update of those actions that we have completed since, as well as those actions that are in progress and under evaluation. So in terms of actions completed since the last update on March 5th, there was a request to link the data provided by ICE related to their activity in San Antonio. So we have linked the ICE report to the city's website under the Compliance, Opportunity, and Access webpage. And you will be able to see, and our community will be able to see the information that is reported by ICE. One point that I want to highlight is that this data by ICE is regional in nature and not specific to San Antonio. Also, the data is updated by ICE in terms of timeliness and accuracy. Now, in terms of those actions that are in progress, we have talked about training for city staff on response protocols when ICE enters a city facility. So our Human Resources Department, in coordination with City Attorney's Office, have conducted in-person sessions for our Library Department, Human Services, Parks and Recreation, Metro Health, Development Services, and Center City Development Office. The training for the remaining department is ongoing. Another update is related to City Council policy to deter future private for-profit detention facilities. I would like to inform the council that we have posted yesterday for next week's A-session agenda of April 16 the necessary changes to the city's Unified Development Code that will regulate private detention centers. Also, John Peterek, Assistant City Manager, will be meeting with you one-on-one beginning next week to brief you on the proposed changes that will be for your consideration again next Thursday. Continuing with actions in progress, the council requested a report mechanism for community to report or log alleged rights violations. We continue to work on that, and what we're focusing on is a couple of options. We're evaluating an option for the city to be able to record those alleged violations or have a third party do it. We have conversations with some organizations for that, the ability to do so. So we anticipate that will be completed by April 15. Just as a reminder, this will be just a reporting tracking mechanism, but the city cannot act on those reported alleged violations. In relation to a justice fund to support nonprofits or those victims of ICE activity with legal status, the legal criteria is being evaluated that would mitigate risk, and that is anticipated to be completed by April 15. We will report that to council, and any budgetary impact will be discussed as a part of the fiscal year 27 budget process. We'll have our goal-setting session with the council in May. Another action was the establishment of public signage informing residents and businesses of their rights. So we are and have evaluated available public signage that was developed by third parties, and that evaluation will be completed by April 15, and that information will be posted on the city's website. We're also exploring whether a third party can assist us in promoting distribution of those materials. and we included in the PowerPoint as one of the backup slides that signage for your review. Now, moving on to procurement actions that are also in progress, you'll see on slide 6 that there are 5 different actions that are being evaluated by our city's teams, departments, and we will be presenting potential implementation options to the Economic Workforce Development Committee next month, in the month of May, for discussion of the committee and evaluation. And finally, we have a couple of actions that we continue to evaluate related to detention facilities. One is related to an assessment and determination of whether facilities and activities comply with applicable federal laws, including environmental law. And that is in evaluation at this point. We're also looking at inclusion of federal legislation and action to prevent and/or end the use of any facility in San Antonio in our legislative agenda. Our teams have been in communication with our federal delegation, who's aware of the City Council position on the issue, and this is being considered as we develop the federal legislative program for the 120th Congress that will begin later this year. Finally, Mayor and Council, this updates, this presentation, and the ones that we've done in the past will be posted on the city's website for our community to review under the Compliance, Access, and Opportunity Office webpage. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate the updates on thorough updates on each of these items. For everyone's awareness, yesterday I sent a letter to the new DHS Secretary Mullen expressing our community's continued lack of interest in hosting an ICE processing facility. Mentioned that I had communicated similarly that message to his predecessor, did not receive feedback on that. And just a reminder for those watching that, you know, my office nor the city staff have yet to be communicated formally with anybody at DHS regarding the proposed ICE processing facility on the east side to this day, despite the months of requests for information. So again, that outreach has gone to Secretary Mullen, and we hope to have a more productive and transparent dialogue with his office versus what we had with his predecessor. Maria, a couple of points of clarification on your presentation. I know we had, it was raised by a couple of folks about, again, the economic consequences of some of these activities. So on slide 4, I know last we spoke about this, we had talked about getting the input of some of our economic development partners to ensure that the proposed code changes were reflective of their input. I know Greater SATX, for example, was asked to part in that. Can you give us a sense of which of our economic stakeholders may have informed the proposed code change?
Mayor, I'm going to ask John Peterick, who's leading the effort in the code changes, to address that question.
Thank you.
Mayor, so as far as both we're amending several pieces of city code with what's before you next week, but the UDC piece has gone before the zoning commission this week, and there are various stakeholders who are paying attention to that. There has not been any direct involvement with SAEDC or other economic development organizations.
To ensure that we are fully, and I can appreciate the number of stakeholders that participate in that, I think it would behoove us, though, to formally hear from our economic development partners to let them know, one, what we're contemplating, and to formally hear their input on many zoning decisions. We are constantly considering, again, what this may mean for us economically. So I want to make sure in this very important discussion that we hear from them. So I'd like us to do our part to transmit them to them for their awareness. Now, if they choose to reply, that's one thing, but transmitting is something I'd like to do, please.
Yeah, Mayor, we can do that today. We have a draft red line change of the pieces of city code. We can share that immediately.
Thank
Okay.
you. Maria, on slide 5, establishment of public signage informing residents and business owners of their rights. Thank you again for this update and appreciate the timeline. Can you provide just a little more fidelity, though? So I know we're looking at a third party that may assist to promote distribution. How would a business express interest in getting a copy of that material? How would we do that?
So that's one of the pieces that we're evaluating in terms of the distribution and how we make those businesses aware. So I'm going to ask Liz to give us more specificity.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Just for purposes of options being explored, we've worked on identifying potential signage that is along the lines that we understand of the potential information that you think would be valuable to businesses having. As part of the discussions, we're looking at whether a third party is even possible for purposes of distribution, or whether it's simply something that we make available potentially on the city website, and then we work with engagement somehow, some way to be able to notify and create some sort of awareness that it is available in the event that they choose or would like this. So to your question, Mayor, that's part of what we're working on in these next couple weeks, so that we know what our options are, and then that way we can present to you those options and you can give your input in terms of how best. So that is what we're working on currently.
If I understand that correctly, so it's going to be information that's available potentially on the website, and then in practice, then somebody would go on there and say, oh, that's something I think would be useful. They would, in theory, then have to print it themselves and then post it in their business. Is that?
Hypothetically, that could be one
Hypothetically.
option,
Okay.
Mayor. There could be another option where we pre-print and make available
Okay.
potentially through your offices that are throughout the city, if somebody wants to be able to get one easily. It's not, logistically, I don't think there's a lot of barriers to that. So we have options, and we could explore those with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Andy, did we have a timeline regarding the national firm for the EPA portion?
Actually, we have engaged a firm already, Mayor. And so they're preparing right now essentially the court documents we would need to file a complaint. And that's about as much detail as I'd probably want to give here in a public session.
Got it. Okay. I know that one's a big one, so thanks for sharing what you are comfortable with sharing at this point. Okay. For those that would like to provide comments or questions on this, Councilman? Anything? No? Anything? Okay. All right. Thank you for the update. Councilwoman Villagran, did you have any questions or comments on the update?
No, thank you.
Items 4 through 20 are on the consent agenda. This means they will be considered as a group, and there will not be a staff presentation unless pulled for individual consideration. Are there any items council members would like to pull from the consent agenda to be heard individually?
Item 17.
Anything on the right side? Nothing?
Item 17.
Item 17. Councilman Galvan, item 17. Anything else? Nothing? Okay. 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 Item 17 has been pulled by Councilman Galvan for individual consideration. We have several individuals that have signed up to speak on the consent agenda. Actually, all those now are on individual, so we have nobody else signed up to speak. Okay. Given the item was pulled for individual consideration, there's nobody that has signed up to speak at this point. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda absent item 17? Okay. It is moved and second to approve the consent agenda item number 17. We have several highlights. I'll start with Councilwoman Kaur.
Thanks, Mayor. I have two quick highlights. One is item number 7, which is approving a lease and use agreement with the San Antonio Tennis Association for the McFarland Tennis Center, which is the largest public tennis center in regional Southwest Texas. And so we're really excited to continue partnering with them to be able to offer this service to our residents and to the community at large. Every time I go over there, I always see so many kids playing at the center, which is generally a space that is not provided for a lot of our families. And so excited that they're going to be continuing to offer that at San Pedro Springs Park, which is our 10th most historic park. I'm looking at Homer. Thank you for everything that you're doing there. I'm also excited to highlight item number 8, which is the temporary closures of streets, y'all, just temporary for Fiesta, which is coming up. But in the temporary closure, we're also going to be celebrating the full opening of South Alamo. And so I want to say thank you to our Capital Delivery Department's lead, Mike, for getting us. Bring an A. I can't believe we're saying it. I told everybody not to hold our breath last year, but I'm really glad to be celebrating NIOSA and the opening of South Alamo next week. We're going to do a little celebration next Wednesday around in the afternoon, so we hope to see everyone there so that we can have a new hashtag, South Alamo is open. And we're going to have a really cool, fun photo scavenger hunt for folks that CNE and the downtown office is working to coordinate for us. So thank you all. We're finally there. All right, thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Spears.
Can y'all guess what I'm going to talk about? Item number 9. This is about our airport. Today, we are recognizing an important step forward for San Antonio International Airport for District 9 with the acceptance of a $12.5 million FAA grant to support the new terminal development. With this award, the airport has now secured a remarkable $91.5 million in federal funding for the terminal development program, with additional applications still pending. This does not happen by accident. This is the result of a disciplined, strategic approach to pursuing every available funding opportunity. Under the leadership of Jesus Saenz, alongside Grant Administrator Melissa Rivers and the entire airport team, they have truly looked under every rock to bring federal dollars back to San Antonio. Their strong partnership with the FAA continues to deliver real results that directly benefit our residents, travelers, and local economy. We are already seeing the impact of that hard work through ongoing improvements and recent enhancements at the airport that are elevating the passenger experience and preparing us for continued growth. This investment positions San Antonio to remain competitive, improve connectivity, and support the billions in economic activity tied to our airport. As the new terminal moves forward towards its anticipated opening in the second quarter of 2028, this funding ensures we are building the infrastructure our city needs for the future. I want to commend the airport team for their persistence, professionalism, and commitment to delivering for San Antonio. This is exactly what it looks like when strong leadership, smart strategy, and federal partnership come together to move our city forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman White.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, I'm highlighting item 20, and this item has been a year and a half in the making, and I'm proud that we are finally here. We are here to talk about David G. Evans Memorial Highway. And for those that don't remember, it is I met Mrs. Evans at the polls back in 2023, and she told me the story of her brave late husband, Officer David Evans, and how he gave 37 years of his life to law enforcement, including 30 with SAPD. There was an event several years ago where he was shot multiple times responding to a domestic disturbance, and he survived. And he returned to duty that day and served until retirement, but he carried the wounds from that day for the rest of his life, and he ended up passing away from those injuries in February of 2022. This is a life worth honoring. This ordinance authorizes a memorial marker on Loop 1604, designating it David G. Evans Memorial Highway. And to the Evans family, you know I always keep a picture of David here with me on the dais. I want to thank you for your patience throughout this process. Thank you for trusting us to get it right. I promised you we would make this day happen that day at the polls, Mrs. Evans, and I'm very, very proud that we are here today. Officer Evans' sacrifice will not be forgotten in District 10 and in all of San Antonio. And with that, Mayor, I believe there's a member of the family that is here and that would like to say a few words.
Yep, please come forward.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. My name is Lorenzo Terrazas. I'm a son-in-law of David Evans. Elizabeth Evans is not here to deliver. She's traveling currently, but to deliver the letter. But the letter goes as, there's not enough words to express my gratitude we have in honoring David. The thought of driving down highway we travel often and seeing his dedication to our family's patriarch will bring a sense of joy and pride, knowing that David's legacy will continue and that his life mattered. Councilman White, you made a promise that day that I met you, and thank you so much for keeping your word. That speaks volumes of your integrity as a public and as a human being. You would always hold a special place in our hearts of our family. Thank you for honoring not only David, but to every San Antonio police officer who daily lay their lives on the line to serve our community. San Antonio owes a debt of gratitude to each one. Every officer worked together to take care of our great city. I am proud to be part of this city and the city's Blue family. With extreme gratitude, Elizabeth Evans. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor. This morning I would like to highlight item number 14 and 15, which is the reappointment and appointment of Robert and Fuzzle to the Building and Standard Board. This is a very important board that's quasi-judicial that has the ability to issue a demolition or repair order for structures all throughout the city of San Antonio. So these individuals are tasked with prioritizing the public health and safety of San Antonio residents. So grateful for their service, and of course to the Planning and Community Development Committee who vetted the applicants, to the chair, and then of course all the members of that committee. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank the clerk's office who pre-vets those applicants for us to take action and to deliberate on. Again, just really grateful for these appointments, and again highlighting the fact that this is a very vital board to the city of San Antonio, and just was impressed with these applicants. Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any other highlights on the consent agenda? Okay, great. I'd like to highlight Robert Mihara, who is my appointee to the Streets, Bridges, and Sidewalks Advisory Board. Robert is an Army veteran, long line of service to our community, and I look forward to his thoughts and his input into making this as robust as it can be. So thank you for your stepping up to serve again. Okay. There being no further discussion, there's a motion and second to approve the consent agenda minus item 17. Please vote. Okay. Councilmember Villagran, we would need a verbal. Thank you.
Aye.
Hold on. Mine's not working. Aye, yeah. Okay, the motion carries. Item number 17 was pulled by Councilmember Galvan for individual consideration. Councilmember, would you like a staff presentation? I'm sorry? Oh, yes, please. Madam Clerk, please read the caption.
Item number 17 is an ordinance amending the agreement with Rey Feo Consejo Educational Foundation for the Fiesta de los Reyes event at Market Square to establish hours for the event, ticketing during some event hours, setting an initial gate fee, and establishing a revenue share related to ticket revenue. Revenue collected by the city will be deposited into the Market Square Fund.
Please, thank you.
Yes, we do have, good morning, everyone. I'm Shannon Miller, the Chief Downtown Officer, and we do have a brief presentation if you'd like for me to go through it, or I can just answer questions, whatever you prefer. Presentation? Okay. All right. So since 2010, the Rey Feo Consejo Foundation has produced the Fiesta de los Reyes event in Market Square. And it is an event that lasts the whole 10 days of Fiesta. And it is the largest, probably the largest event, attracting about 250,000 people each year. And last year, as a result of security enhancements, the Consejos saw a financial loss and that we're trying to address this year. Several safety and security enhancements that were made relate to perimeter fencing and controlled entry points so that people are screened before they enter the area. So they do go through the magnetometers, and there's a bag policy and all of that, so the attendees are all checked for security reasons. There were also some other adjustments related to moving stages around to allow for better security, not allowing access to the parking deck by the public, so that is also restricted, and then reducing the actual hours of the event itself. So the amendment that's before you today, the current contract for the event goes through 2030, but the amendment to that contract, it would allow for a $5 gate fee during peak event hours. And those hours, and then it also sets the event hours. And so most of the days, the event would be from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. The only exception being on the night of the parade, it's open until midnight. There is a cost, like basically a financial share to the city. At some point, the Consejos would retain the first $250,000, which essentially is intended to allow them to break even because of the increased security costs and the cost for the fencing and the cost for the ticketing system. And then above that $250,000, there is a cost share with the city. And so based on previous years' attendance, we estimate the amount to the city being around $37,500. So staff does recommend approval of this contract amendment as presented this morning, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. We're going to, let's see. Yeah, is there, so for you, is there a motion and a second for approval so we may begin discussion?
Second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the item. We have several individuals from the community that have signed up to speak, and I'll call them in the order that they signed up. Every individual will have 3 minutes. The first person is Thelma Gonzalez, followed by Yvette Ramirez, and then Veronica Sandoval. And if you would, please line up behind the speakers so we can move through this. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. My name is Thelma Gonzalez, and I have been a business owner at the Farmers Market Plaza for more than 35 years. This is a family-run business built through decades of dedication, cultural pride, and service to our community. Today, the Farmers Market Plaza is home to 54 tenants, all of whom are now business owners of San Antonio. There are over 100 local-owned businesses in the Market Square area. We open 356 days a year, except major holidays. Like any other business in the city of San Antonio, we pay rent, utilities, and sales taxes, a portion of which directly supports the city. Our businesses also create local jobs, support family livelihoods, and contribute to the tourism economy that San Antonio is known for. Market Square has always been a free public space, a place where locals and visitors can enjoy our culture, food, music, and traditions without barriers. It is one of the few remaining cultural hubs in the city where families can gather and experience authentic San Antonio heritage. For this reason, we are deeply concerned about the proposed $5 entry gate fee being submitted for ordinance amending the agreement with Rey Feo Consejo Educational Foundation. This would fundamentally change the nature of Market Square. It risks reduced foot traffic, harming small businesses, and limiting access to families who have visited the space freely for decades. It also contradicts the spirit of Fiesta, a celebration meant to bring the community together and to not create financial barriers. We respectfully ask our city leaders to reconsider this proposal and to work with us, the business owners who have sustained Market Square for decades, to find solutions that supports both the city and the cultural and economic vitality of this historic public space. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. I'm so glad on the mayor's report because that kind of settled everything down with all the little shiny, sparkly metals and things. So I'm not here to rain on anybody's parade. I'm just here to speak on behalf of our association at Market Square. I do want to thank you, Councilman Galvan, for bringing this issue and pulling it from a consent agenda. I think it's too important to allow it just to pass on a consent agenda. It is an issue that involves the citizens of San Antonio and the small businesses that are currently at Market Square. My name is Yvette Ramirez, and I serve as the president of the Farmers Market Plaza Association. I'm here today respectfully to ask that you stand up for the constituents and for the small businesses that have served the community for generations. Market Square has long stood as a place where cultural, family, community come together, and I know we've discussed this in the past. For decades, Fiesta at Market Square has recognized a free, family-friendly event given back to the citizens of San Antonio, a celebration that welcomes working families, visitors, residents without barriers to entry. Our tax dollars have historically supported the security and safety of this event. It's our understanding that the city allocates approximately $400,000 to $600,000 in public safety resources during the Fiesta event, ensuring that the community can have greater safety. These are public safety expenditures made by the city for the benefit of the public, not costs carried by the Consejos organization. In 2024, entertainment programming decisions made by the Consejos brought an unusually large number of minors to Market Square. Unfortunately, in that environment, some poor decisions were made among those minors, which led to incidences that have been seen to justify the use of restricting our public space. But we must ask ourselves the more important question. Are we solving an existing problem, or are we simply creating a new one? On February 25th, we were called to a meeting by the director of the Fiesta de los Reyes and the City of San Antonio, CCDO. We were advised that on that day that by Mr. Stevens that the consejos were advising us of a $5 fee that would be implemented this year. When we voiced our concerns, we were told by Mr. Stevens that this was a done deal, surprising our board that we had not heard already that this issue had been voted on. Because of this proposal to implement $5 admission fee raises serious concerns for the businesses and families who rely on Market Square as an open and accessible public marketplace. Any organization coming before this council with requests that would restrict access.
Is there somebody that'd like to give you their time?
I would like to concede my minutes.
I'm sorry?
I would like to concede my minutes.
Your name, ma'am?
Veronica Sandoval.
Okay, great. You've got an additional 3 minutes, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Any organization coming before this council with a request that would restrict access to public space should be required to demonstrate financial need and provide transparent financial records. If that is not required in this case, then in essence, the organization is asking City Council to make the decision to charge Fiesta visitors, not the consejos. And by allowing this to be buried into a consent agenda would have been non-justifiable to the public. And that raises a larger concern, that continued lack of transparency. For example, as of yesterday, this organization has not submitted a map to the TABC Commission showing where it is intended to expand alcohol sales. This leaves many unanswered questions for the businesses operating inside the Farmers Market building. Will they request expanded liquor license that surround Farmers Market building? Will our customers be prevented from entering the event space with a beer or wine beverage that was purchased inside our building? Again, this is a lack of transparency. There are other examples as well. When the city originally contracted with the organization, Market Square was included in a revenue sharing agreement that allocated portion of the beverage sales back into the Market Square funds, specifically 75 cents for beer, 25 cents for soda and water, which have never increased, although their prices have. And however, in the last 2 years, they have included now liquor sales that have been added to their beverage menu. To this day, the Enterprise Fund has not received any portion of or percentage of those sales. I do not believe that it was even integrated into the new agreement or possibly can be discussed in this new agreement that they're trying to make with the city. Again, another lack of transparency. For these reasons, we respectfully ask the council to pause this decision and ask the necessary questions to the Consejos organization, gather the financial information, seek public input, ensure transparency before allowing any action that will restrict access to a historic public space. Because by ordinance, Market Square has established as a free and public space for the people of San Antonio. Allowing any third party to control access to a historical cultural public asset sets a dangerous precedent. Once the door is open to privatizing a public space, it raises questions on what other public spaces in San Antonio could be subjected to the same treatment in the future. Market Square belongs to the people. It is a place where culture, tradition, commerce coexisted for generations, and it should remain open and accessible to the public it was created to serve. Market Square does not belong to an organization. It belongs to the people of San Antonio, and it should remain open to them. Thank you very much for your time.
Reverend Sylvia Vasquez, followed by Roman Peña.
Good morning. Mayor and members of City Council, I'm the Reverend Sylvia Vasquez, and I reside in District 4. I'm a third-generation San Antonio-born Tejana, and I have enjoyed the Fiesta season for many years. Growing up, my father never paid for any entrance fees for any of Fiesta. I remember that we would bring produce baskets to sit on to watch the day parade. We would bring sandwiches, and my dad would make donuts so that we wouldn't have to buy any food. We would walk around the carnival area, and perhaps my father would let us get on 1 or 2 rides. Having those options made it possible for our large family to enjoy some of Fiesta. I appreciate the difficult and complex decisions and the task before you in leading our city and making those decisions on behalf of the people of San Antonio. But I am here today to express my concerns about the proposal to charge a $5 fee for entrance to the Market Square Fiesta activities. In today's economic climate, it would seem imprudent and perhaps even cruel to impose more expense on the people who attend the Market Square activities. Just this year, parking for the rodeo in February cost me $40. I can only imagine how much it will cost during Fiesta. In my 73 years, I can remember only twice attending NIOSA or most of the other events that Fiesta offers because of the expense. I managed to attend only one of the many parades because it costs too much to attend more than that. I am most often coming to Market Square for Fiesta because it is someplace I can afford to be. I'm a retired priest, and if I were to bring my family to the Market Square, it would cost almost $100 between entrance fees and parking before I even got a taste of a gordita. I urge you to consider carefully the impact this charge will have on the families of our city, particularly those whose income has not kept up with the cost of enjoying living here. Market Square has historically been a place where anyone could come without having to spend a lot of money. Please don't create a barrier to those who have always felt able to participate in this historic area. May God bless you and give you wisdom and compassion as you make your decisions. Thank you.
Roman Peña, followed by Elaine De Los Santos.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, City Council. My name is Nick Peña, also known as Roman Peña. I'm a retired merchant from the El Mercado, and I was asked to be here today because something was going to happen. I have not been involved in the discussions of this fee that the Rey Feo wants to charge to get into the Mercado. But I want to be here to give you a little bit of history about the Fiesta. You know, I've been at the Mercado for 50 years, so we've seen Fiesta 50 times, and this time never been charged there. And the reason is this. Sometime back when we had the event, we were the sponsors and we're the creators of Fiesta del Mercado. We wanted to charge $1 to come in because of the cost of things there. And the city council at that time, which was Juan Solis and Walter Martinez and the mayor, said, no, Nick, that place is a people's place. We're not going to charge them anything. This is a free event. It's been for 100 years, and a market, and we're going to leave it like that. And we always only wanted to charge $1, Madam Mayor. So today, like this lady just explained to you, $5, and if you have a family of 4, that's almost $20. And then the parking, they're going to probably scam the people there. They always do. It should be about $30, Mayor. So this council here has to have an understanding of what that area is. That is an area of the people that have come there for 100 years, maybe, on fiestas, but probably more likely in the last 50 that I've been there, to enjoy the music and the food, and also to collaborate with one another. So you have this great responsibility to keep it a people's place. They've called me to come here and testify because they say the people need protection, Nick. Otherwise, we're going to have to declare la huelga again. We don't want to declare la huelga, Madam Mayor. And we're very fortunate to have you here as the mayor because we worked very hard to get you elected. I recall that it wasn't supposed to be you, it was supposed to be Rolando Pablos. But you're here. And we're going to stay focused on this issue and also on ICE. We're very much involved on the ICE issue. In fact, we had a meeting last night. We had 2 meetings, one with Calvert, the Commissioner Calvert, and the other one with the Democratic Party. We know that the Republicans want that detention center to house our people. And we asked the ones that at least have a little compassion to think about that prison. Thank you very much.
Elaine De Los Santos, followed by Henry Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having us today and for all that you do for our wonderful city. My name is Elaine De Los Santos. I'm the Interim Executive Director for the Rey Feo Consejo Education Foundation. In collaboration with the Rey Feo Scholarship Foundation, Fiesta de los Reyes has always been a celebration for our community, and that will not change. The question is, why introduce the fee now, and why the timing? To produce content, a formal debrief was conducted following Fiesta 2025. In June of 2025, the City of San Antonio, which I'm going to refer to as COSA, and Fiesta de los Reyes, which I'm going to refer to as FDLR, leadership met to review strengths and areas of improvement. One of the key takeaways for the success of enhancement security measures, SAPD reported no major incidents, which was a significant achievement. However, prioritizing safety came at a cost. FDLR, as a nonprofit, incurred a loss of approximately $143,000 due to increased security expenses. Discussions about a potential gate fee began in June of 2025. These conversations continued. In August of 2025, COSA and FDLR leadership revisited the proposal. In December of 2025, FDLR formally submitted a proposal outlining cost and hours. In February 2026, COSA issued a memo supporting the $5 gate fee and proposed schedule. In late February 2026, we met with the farmers market tenants to share the proposal. While concerns were raised, we listened carefully and made adjustments. By March of 2026, after further discussions with COSA and the tenants, we reached a compromise. Our weekday schedules basically changed. Our proposal was to start charging at 5 p.m. That changed to 6 p.m. Our proposal in the beginning was to charge on the weekends from the beginning at 10 a.m., and we changed that to 1 p.m. Fees applies only to attendance, again, for ages 13 and over. So again, kids 12 and under are always free. Hours of operation and proposed gate times are as follows. Fiesta de los Reyes will be open from April 17th to the 26th from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m., except for midnight on the night parade, April 25th. The fee schedule is as follows. April 17th, Friday after 6 p.m., April 18th and 19th after 1 p.m., April 20th to the 23rd, Monday through Thursday after 6 p.m., the 24th to the 26th, Friday through Sunday after 1 p.m. If approved, the event will remain free during daytime hours, on weekends, and early hours on the weekends.
Thank you, ma'am. You can submit the rest of your comments for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry Rodriguez, followed by Frank Garza, the final speaker.
Thank you. Henry Rodriguez, I'm the Executive Director for LULAC Concilio Zapatista, and I'm also the National Civil Rights Chair for the organization. I want to tell you that this $5 that is proposed is going to affect the people that are very low income, in a very low income status. These people are the ones that go to the carnival, used to go to the carnival and just watch the rides, maybe buy a soda. These are the same people that go to Market Square to watch their favorite band, maybe buy a beer, but that's all they can afford. They bring their family. They just go to have a good time. You know, in close proximity to Market Square, there's five courts, if you will, for the lack of a better word. They're public projects, housing projects, and that's Salazar, Casiano, Villa Viramende, San Juan, and Mirasol. And those people go to Fiesta, and the ones surrounding it, that's a low-income area, especially District 5. So it is a burden. And these people just want to go and have a good time, and we have been going. I was raised in the courts, and we used to go just to see, just to watch, have a good time, just by watching the people ride. We could not afford it. Today, it is hard to go and buy a $10 taco, but you still go for the excitement, and it seems like they are being targeted, especially when somebody makes a comment that this is is going to be imposed to keep the riff-rats out. And that comment was made, and that is very unacceptable, and I take exception to it. I don't care who made it, but it was made. And you want me to ask you who told me? I will tell you, but I'm not at this time. But it is insulting, and they're picking on the lowest of the lowest that people in the income levels. One day they will rise up because they get educated. But at this time, they need for Market Square to be for everybody. There's all kinds of, these are the people that go to the parade and stand. They do not, because they cannot afford the chairs. They're too expensive, $20 right now, or maybe more. So I am just telling you right now that I expect we need some heroes to step forward and say, yeah, I'm for the people, I'm for everybody. Fiesta is for everybody. Everybody's going to be celebrating at their own level, each one. So I'm asking you right now, please, do not let this happen. I don't care where it comes from or who's proposing it. I also stand with all the merchants there in Market Square, Farmers Market, all of them, because those people work year-round. And anybody that comes for temporarily, they have to work around their schedule and not the other way around.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, okay?
Frank Garza.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, Maria, Andy. Nobody ever says hi to the city attorney. It's interesting being on this side instead of that side, but I just wanted to point out that my name is Frank Garza, and I have been the chair, co-chair, and tri-chair of Fiesta de los Reyes at Market Square since 2011. I will tell you that as a child growing up on the southeast side of San Antonio, there were two events my family took us to, and you've heard it from some of the speakers. The parades, bringing our own food, and Market Square. I will tell you, and my board and members of my organization will tell you, I have fought for years to keep this event free because it is the people's event. Just like Rey Feo is the people's king, this is the people's event. However, last year's, with the increased security, which I will tell you, everyone who went to that event was so impressed with the increased security that I have heard from folks who said, I had never been to Market Square, but it's great. The increased security is a great benefit to this event, but it comes at a cost. Market Square is proposing a $5 fee during certain hours. 10 to 6, almost every day of the week, it is still free. I, as former city attorney, remembered all those times I went over there for lunch during Fiesta at Market Square, taking staff and so forth. That is still available to everyone here to go down to Market Square for free. We are proposing free hours on weekends. We won't be kicking people out when we start charging. Once you're there, you are there. The increased security comes at a cost, and we are simply asking to pay the $5 fee. Yes, I know that a $5 fee could be burdensome to some families, but again, it's only for 13 and over and only certain hours. We need to raise the funds to continue our scholarships for our community, and that's the purpose of our organization. You heard Rafael earlier discuss that. And so what we are proposing is a reasonable amendment. And one thing that's not been pointed out, you saw the income share with the increased fee. The original contract and the contract we have in place, 50% of all our revenue goes to the city of San Antonio to help pay for that security you are providing. We're not keeping all of the revenue. 50%, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's the sales of alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages and the sale of our vendor booths that we charge for the folks during those 10 days, 50% of all that revenue still goes to the city of San Antonio and will continue throughout this contract. So I ask for your support on amending the contract to allow for that fee and other amendments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know several of my colleagues would like to speak on this item. Councilman Galvan.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Shannon Miller, for the presentation as well as for our conversation this morning. I really appreciate a conversation early today to kind of go through some of these details. Given the larger context, right, of this entire conversation, the kind of requests from different residents in my community who have asked about what is this going to mean for Market Square, what is it going to mean for Fiesta. I wanted to make sure we had the opportunity today to kind of clear out what's going to happen or what is possible to happen, and to make clear what the intention is, right? I think we all know we want to make sure that Market Square and all of our Fiesta events are as safe as possible throughout the entire season. That's plain and simple and clear. Obviously, those security costs or those security measures come with a cost. And so it's just a matter of trying to figure out, is this the best way to go about it? And if not, what other options are available, and to go from there. But at no point do I think in this conversation should we consider that nobody wants extra security there. Regardless, we know we need that there at Market Square and across the board at Fiesta. So just want to make that clear that that's not my intent to say to remove any kind of additional security, but just a matter of how do we go about it and what's the practice here, in particular for the Market Square, given the fact of its historical use of it being free for all families here in our city. So with that, I know we had a couple different points made by public comment speakers, but I wanted to ask Shannon or John about, could you walk through a little bit when this process began, who was at the table for it, and how this fee would work day to day. I know we heard some different things about the kind of timing, and so I was trying to understand a bit more about when the Market Square vendors are open, when Market Square events for Fiesta would take place, and just kind of how that all wraps together in an actual day-to-day operation.
Sure. Some of the questions about the timing of these conversations, I might have to defer to John Jacks because I haven't been in this role a super long time.
And thank you for coming up immediately.
I will do my best, and then he can help me if needed. So I know, and I think one of the speakers today talked about the fact that the consejos provide their costs and expenditures for the event to the city so that we can verify how much money is owed to the city based on the cost share and revenue share. And so those conversations started, a few months after the event, after they had their financials figured out. And that's when the discussions about the $5 fee. And I also know that the CCDO staff has met with the Tenants Association at various points along the way. And as you heard from some of the speakers, the original proposal was to start charging the fee at 5 p.m. and all day on the weekends. And so there were some concessions based on those conversations with the tenants and concerns about people who are used to going there for lunch, as another speaker mentioned, or wanting to go there during the day. And so more recently, in the last month or so, the proposal was changed to 6 p.m. on most of the days for 13 and up. So 12 and under is free all the time. On the first weekend, on both weekends and the second Friday of Fiesta, the charge would start at 1 p.m. And so again, that's intended to allow for people to be able to go at no cost in the morning and through lunchtime, even on those busy days. And the tenants' typical schedule of operation are 10 to 6. But their contract does allow for extended hours to be requested, and so it is typical that the tenants have been allowed to stay open later during the event. And so, as I think another speaker mentioned, they are open. The building closes at 8:30, and then so people who are kind of in the farmers market space at 8:30 can go ahead and be served, but then the building fully closes at 9.
Got it. Thank you for that. That's helpful just to kind of help frame what this is really going to be impacting here and there throughout this entire process. The other thing I wanted to ask was, could you talk about the difference? I know you mentioned the security provisions in the presentation, but can you talk about the difference in the security provided by SAPD and then by the contracted services that we're looking at here?
Yes. So the existing contract requires that the city SAPD provide general event security, so the officers inside the footprint and overall security for the event as they have in previous years. The additional cost that the consejos cover are for the private security that does the screenings for people who are entering the event. And so they pay for the perimeter, the screening, and the ticketing platform.
Right, thank you. So of course the bag check-in, all those things like that.
Exactly.
Can you remind me how much that total cost is for that contracted extra security?
So between the perimeter fencing, like the additional
Right.
cost because of those security measures, it was about $140,000 that in additional cost. And then there was that additional $100,000 that the consejos provide for scholarships that
Right.
obviously isn't covered if they don't make enough revenue.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. And I guess my question, this is not necessarily just you, but overall maybe to Maria or to Ben, about are there any other options that we can provide through the city, just to kind of lay that out there about how we could potentially continue to have the security there, but fund it without the fee in place.
Councilman, if I may, to answer your original question in terms of some background and context, how we arrived to this gate fee, a couple of years ago, there was an incident at Market Square that required for both the consejos and the city to sit down after the event and do a review of our security measures and things that we could do better to ensure that the event is safe for the public. So as part of those discussions in coordination with the city manager, the police chief, the consejos, myself, we met several times. And the measures that Shannon described in terms of the fencing around the event, having individuals that are checking in what is being brought to Market Square, those expenses were to be covered by the consejos, and the city committed to increase our police presence at the time. So we committed to an additional roughly $250,000 from what we were spending a couple of years ago. So in terms of additional options, that's what we started discussing, a potential fee, trying to balance the security, the expenses to the city that we're already spending additional dollars with the public and public safety, and the opportunity to have a very small charge to offset some of the cost of the consejos.
Got it. That's helpful. And do we know how much it costs total for SAPD to provide that extra security?
So in total, last year we spent about $690,000 in total security for Market Square. We're anticipating that's going to be around $730,000 for this year.
Okay. And for do we already have a security company selected for the contract for this one?
Yes, I mean, the consejos, they are responsible for the contract for the private security that they pay.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I guess what I was wondering was that if there's, given the fact that it's a public facility, if there's any way that if we have a contract already in place with the same company, if there's any way that we could try to do something there where they're able to provide it through our already committed contract. I don't know, we have specific rules within those and specific scopes of where those contracts will be taking place, whether it's the Alamo Dome or Convention Center or something of the sort. Just wanted to see if that was something that would be possible. And you can get back to me as the conversation goes forward, but just wanted to ask that question. Otherwise, I think those are all my general questions there, and thank you for, again, the presentation, and for helping answer some of these questions that the community's been asking, as well as, of course, many of the tenants have asked as well. I certainly appreciate it.
Councilman, to answer your question, I was being informed that they already consejos use the same contractor that we have for the Alamo Dome. In terms of when you go to an event to the Alamo Dome, those individuals, the screen individuals, when they come in, is the same contract that we share with them. So they get the same pricing that we do.
Okay, I got it. So just the same pricing in terms of having that shared one. And but there's no way to amend that contract to allow for those same, not the same people, but same company to do that security?
Yeah, just to further clarify, the fact that they utilize the same contractor that we use, given the fact that we have much more events throughout the year, it gives economies of scale, so they get a reduced price that if they were to do it on their own. So that's already an advantage that they get by using our contractor.
I see. I understand that one, and I appreciate that, but I guess my larger question was, would it be possible for them to provide that security directly without an additional fee, given the fact that we're already contracting with them, and it's a facility that we do own? I know it's a private event, technically.
Right, and there's no available budget. Like the revenue that comes from the event that goes into the Market Square Fund, like the Market Square Fund still does not make money. And so there's no available funding in the Market Square Fund for us to cover additional security.
And that's what I was wondering, where, if it could be possible, where that funding would then come from too, right? Okay, thank you for that.
Councilmember Kaur.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank my council colleague for pulling this item, Shannon and the team for your hard work on it, the consejos for working with the tenants as much as possible, and for all the tenants and folks that came out to speak on this item. When I first got elected, one of my first meetings that I had was with the Tenant Association and the Farmers Market folks, and we talked about a lot of the issues, and the number one issue that we discussed was the HVAC. And I know that has been really challenging if you go over there. And I want to thank Councilman Castillo for her leadership on the West Side Tours that actually was able to fund the rehab of the HVAC. At first, we thought we were going to have to shut down businesses again for a long time, and we faced that already with the construction, and the construction that's almost also already done on Zona, full done on Zona Cultural, which we worked together with city staff to make sure we try to, as much as we can, reduce rents during that time, because we all know that the construction affected the folks coming to the businesses. So city staff and I really tried to help reduce the cost during construction, and we didn't want to do that again during the HVAC installation, which is a necessary improvement. So I'm pleased to hear that the team is coming up with a solution, still in the works, but coming up with a solution to keep Market Square open so that we don't have to shut down the building as we install HVAC. So that's a purple lining in this situation. I also want to thank you guys for your advocacy in working with the consejos. I know it's a 10-day event, but it's a 10-day event that truly makes a significant amount of the money for the businesses that helps keep them going. And so it's important for us to make sure that everyone is benefiting. So one of the things that the consejos were considering doing was increasing the rent for folks to be able to sit out on the patio and sell. And so that for this year has been dropped back to the price that it was previously as well. And so I thank you guys for working on that, because we want to make sure that they can still see the benefit from this event and from all of what you guys are doing to bring folks there. I do understand this is a really tough situation. I was actually in some of those meetings after the really sad death that occurred, and it was not just one. It had happened a couple times in several years. And the day after something tragic like that happens, everyone stops and pauses and thinks, what do we got to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Because even just one single death at an event like that can truly scare families from coming back. And so the intent, and I fought last year when they started fighting, and some of the folks know, I said, no, y'all can't charge. This is our only last free Fiesta event. And we pushed and we tried, and we were going to try to help fund with city dollars. And we know we're coming up into budget conversations. Unfortunately, no city dollars to be had to help support the extra additional security costs. And so it's a very tough situation when you're debating public safety with keeping an event free and accessible for the community. And so I truly understand families wanting to come and be able to experience. And so if it were me, and with the parking issues, I would take Via from my house, I would take the 2 down, and I would get in at 5:45 p.m. and get my ticket in and enjoy the band and be able to access it still for free. I think one of the things with the security that we do get to prevent is the bringing of outside alcohol, which was a challenge in the past, which caused some of the issues that we were seeing. And so I do think we're going to pilot this strategy. Just one clarifying question, Shannon. They can't increase the price or change the schedule and through the end of the term of the lease unless we change it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's through 2030.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a couple of years to assess and see how it goes. I think there's a fear that this becomes, no offense, some of our other events that we love so much in District 1 that charge almost $30 for a ticket, but we want to make sure that does not happen. And so that families can still access and purchase their favorite stuff at Market Square. So I'll just end by saying, let's make sure we're being mindful, and maybe we can even create a program at the consejos that offers free tickets for families on the weekends that really want to go, that can't afford to come. And I'm sure you guys will come up with something creative to make sure that this fee does not inhibit families from enjoying Fiesta. So thank you all for your work. Thank you for your advocacy. We'll keep fighting. We'll keep working together to always try to make sure that Fiesta stays a party with a purpose. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Gavito.
Thank you. Thank you to the speakers who came out. Thank you to Councilman Galvan for pulling this item. I'll be brief. I know Fiesta serves many purposes for all of us, all the memories that we make there, but at its core, it is raising money. Well, this event in particular is raising money for scholarships. So when they are operating at a loss, we have to think differently. And I do hear the concerns from the business owners about making sure that these events are accessible. And I know Elaine and Frank, y'all mentioned the accommodations that you all are making to where it is still very accessible, like all the hours, children under 12 free. So thanks for working on it. It's not a perfect solution, but as Councilman Galvan mentioned, we need to do what we need to do to keep our events safe, and that's a must. I think Councilwoman Kaur just mentioned, just the thought of something else happening will scare a whole lot of other families away. So this is a step that we unfortunately have to take in today's day and age, and so I'm on board with it. Thank you.
Councilman McKee Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everyone who came out to speak. I was literally just speaking with an organization earlier this week, and we were talking about public markets, and we were talking about the Pearl, and we were discussing others across the country, and my chief of staff brought up Market Square as sort of a model market that feels intrinsically San Antonio. And at its face, you would read about this fee and think, oh, security costs money, the organizers need to cover the cost somehow. But then you read comments and you see people saying things like, oh, this will finally keep the Edgars out. And I have to call that what it is, which is racist and classist. And I agree with Mr. Pena, who said that people are saying we're going to keep the undesirables out of Fiesta. And it's ugly, it's mean-spirited, and it's harmful. You see young brown boys and automatically assume trouble. When in reality, children and families are begging for things, for activities and family-friendly things to do in our city, and Fiesta does offer that opportunity, and sometimes an expensive one. But Market Square, again, is always accessible. And the intent of the fee, again, may be simple, but the impact could be a very slippery slope. And I want to paraphrase a few things that were said today that stood out to me. Ms. Gonzalez mentioned that the fee will fundamentally change the nature of Market Square. Ms. Ramirez mentioned that Market Square should exist without barriers to entry and without restricting access to a public space. Reverend Vasquez mentioned that Market Square was one of the only places she and her family could go for Fiesta because so many others came with entry fees, and urged us not to create a barrier for those who have always felt welcome to participate. And those all touch on the challenges that I've had with this item. And I do hear those who say, oh, well, if you can't afford the $5 entry fee, you're probably not going to be able to afford the $100 that you would easily spend at the different vendors and whatnot. And a few things can be true. One, people do save up money so that they can take their family and have a good time. Two parents can save $100 to spend on food and fun for their 14 and 15-year-old. But now they're paying $20 before they even get inside. So that's a 20% in cost to do the same thing. And two, Fiesta is not about the money. It's not about spending money when you're there. It's about being in community. It's about experiencing the people of San Antonio without prejudice and without barrier. Introducing a $5 fee is a start, but then it becomes an opportunity to limit access even more. It can easily become a $10 fee, a $15 fee, a $20 fee. When does it stop? And so I wish we had taken an opportunity to workshop this as a body before it came to an A session. And because these security measures went into place last year, everyone knew before last year's budget discussions began that security had a cost associated with it, and I don't know why we wouldn't try to find some other way to fund the security measures, especially because the event is such a benefit to our city. Fiesta as a whole is a huge economic and cultural benefit to our city. And so I know Councilmember Galvan was just asked this, but I want to hear it I want to hear it together. What is the total cost of these security measures? I heard last year it was $690K in policing. It's $730K this year. We're anticipating $140,000 in additional costs. Is that it? And then there's the $100,000 in scholarships. Is that it?
Councilman, and I'm going to ask Shannon to help me. The records that I have is for the total cost to the city. So yes, you are correct. $690,000 was the security cost to the city in fiscal year 25, and we're estimating about $730,000 was fiscal year 26. Now the consejos incurs an expense for security, and Shannon, if you could indicate what that amount is.
Yes, and you are correct. I think the expense that they incurred last year for the added security was about $140,000. And then I don't know if maybe those contract costs have gone up a little bit this year. So it might be a little more than that this year.
Do we know how much is raised typically?
I know, well, I don't know that I do know that. I'm sure the consejos could answer that question.
Would someone mind?
Thank you for the question. So last year, again, unfortunately, we lost $143,000, and the year before, we actually raised about $85,000.
And so that includes these costs and everything else that goes with the, I guess, what is that? What is the budget, I guess, would be what the revenue and expenses? What would that look like?
Roughly, again, it's usually about $1 million to raise, to, put this together. And so again, it costs us a lot of money to put this event together as well. So again, in 2024, before all the security measures, we made about $85,000.
Thank you. Do we know, thank you, that's all. Do we know sales tax-wise, what's the impact?
For the specific event, no, Mayor. No, Councilman.
Yeah, don't do that.
Apologize for that. We do receive revenue from consejos, a portion of the license fee and beverage fees that comes to the city, to the Market Square Fund, and that last year was roughly about $190,000 of a portion of the revenues that we get from the sales, again, of the beverages and the license fee.
What I'm really trying to get at, I guess, that is helpful. What I'm really trying to get at is if we have an event like this, if we're talking about different Fiesta events and we know that they're extremely impactful, we know that underlying it all is, scholarships and philanthropy and the like, I fail to see how we can't find some means to help cover the costs of security in a multi-billion-dollar. This is what, if the goal is really, it's public safety, it's making sure that this event, which sees tens of thousands, how many, is it in the hundreds of thousands? 250,000 people. I think it's, it's up there with MLK and the like. And so I'm wondering, why not? Why can't we do that? Can we figure that out?
Councilman, there's definitely a discussion for, a policy discussion for the council. Just to give you some context, in terms of all the revenues and expenses that come to the city during Fiesta, not only this event, the city spends over and above the revenues that we receive about $3 million. So any additional costs that the city would incur would be over and above that. So definitely, again, a policy discussion. This was an option that we evaluated with consejos when I indicated that the city increased the cost for security about $250,000, and we discussed with the consejos for them to also contribute in a way to be able to fund for those security measures that we identified. So definitely a policy discussion, just to give you that context that we already spent about $3 million over and above the revenues that we received.
What does the $5 hope to raise? What do you anticipate will be the revenue as a result of the $5?
So it's about $400,000 that is anticipated, and the consejos anticipates to retain about $250,000 to be used for the ticketing and the related security that I described. and the city will receive 25% of any revenues above the 250,000. So roughly, we're estimating if they collect $400,000, the city will get about $37,500.
I guess, and I hear, I see the answeriness. It just feels what's being asked in addition to what's already being paid feels like pennies. It feels like we should just eat that, but I don't know. I can't support the fee. Thank you.
Okay. I want to make sure there's lots of numbers, so let me make sure I understand all of them. Okay. Ma'am, Consejo. Please. Elaine, thank you. Sorry about that. So you gross 1 million and you net 85K?
Well, again, our expenses are very, very high.
Oh, yes. In doing the math, I can see that. But those are the correct figures, right? You gross 1 million and you net 85K, and that's the 85K then that goes toward the scholarships. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And Maria, you said the city already contributes $3 million toward Fiesta, correct?
For the entire event, specifically for Market Square, it's about $730,000 net of the revenue.
Okay, so understood. And that's $730,000. That's just security. How much do we pay toward cleanup?
So I'm going to try to simplify this.
Please, yeah.
So I'm going to use fiscal year 25 numbers. The city received $190,000 in revenue, and that is from the commissions and the beverage commissions that we received. We spent about $740,000. That included $695,000 for safety, public safety. That was police. And then we had about $43,000 for general maintenance, cleanup, and parking-related expenses.
Okay.
So the net expense to the city was $548,000 last year.
Okay, so then the 730 is already reflective of the cost of cleanup, based on what you've described?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Walter, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think Baltazar Cerna, for the record, I'm one of the other co-chairs with Frank Garza, who's overseen this event for many, many years. And I think it's important for context purposes, Mayor, to digress a little bit and tell you how the contract works. So we're 50-50 partners with the city on this thing. When we started this contract back in 2011, the city said we get 50% of whatever your net revenues are. It takes us approximately about $750,000 to $1 million to put this event on every year, because it's a 10-day festival with lots of hours in between. And so it's a very expensive event. Of course, we like doing it because it provides scholarships for us, but every year it's hit and miss because a few days of bad weather kills us. We make all our money on the weekends. If we get a rainstorm on a weekend, we pretty much aren't going to make much money. And you see that, and to your amazement, Mayor, you say you only made $85,000 last year. Think about that. We made $8,500 for each day that we were out there if you take it over 10 days. So that's not a lot. And we're still obligated to give $100,000 in scholarships, and we don't mind that because that's what we're about. We're about scholarships. So it's the money that we raise in this event, a lot of it goes on to putting it on. The way we make money is through vendors, sponsorships, and beer sales, and beverage sales, water and Coke. We get all that money combined, Mayor, and then you get an additional surcharge on. We have to pay you a surcharge for every beer and every beverage we sell you. We have to pay 75 cents for beer and 25 cents for beverages on top of the 50% that we're already splitting with you. So, and the reasoning behind that, and Cheryl Scully was really the brainchild of this many, many years ago, in that she wanted to help defray the expense that y'all are making with SAPD. SAPD is a lot of money that y'all spend to help secure this event. In addition to that, whatever y'all have, that your half that you get, the city is putting that into the Market Square Fund. So it is intended to go back to Market Square to help with any improvements you might have. And so the problem is that every year security goes up, expenses for police officers goes up, and they have to supplement a lot of time the market fund in order to cover that. So that's why it's been very difficult. We didn't want to charge, but unfortunately 3 people have died in the last 4 years there. And we live in a different world now, and it's something that we have to do now. It's not easy to get organized and start charging, but that's what we're going to do this year. And that's the only way that we can continue to have this event be successful.
Councilwoman Mesa Gonzalez.
Thank you. Just a quick question on the, are folks able to purchase tickets beforehand, or, you know, because there's always a lot of frustration standing in line and making sure that the vendors and the folks, the operators, the day-to-day folks aren't getting stuck in those lines. Have you all planned that out, and who's managing the ticket booth, I guess?
Yes, so that is actually our plan, is to go ahead and put QR codes out, you know, through our websites, through all of our, you know, social media, and also let the media know after this vote, hopefully. So yes, this way we won't have to stand in line. Basically, you show a QR code at the door, and then you're able to go through security and go through pretty quickly. And Ticket Spice is our platform.
And then, as regarding the vendors and the folks that have businesses there every day, is there any sort of
They have credentials, so that, yeah, they don't pay.
credentials throughout? Okay, or
Right.
their staff, anything like that?
Sure, exactly. So again, if they tell us ahead of time how many credentials they need for, you know, their company to run, and so then we give them those credentials, and it's, again, free of charge.
Okay, and I think it would be beneficial just for folks because of all the construction going on, and so obviously you have rough years. Clearly, last year was one of them, but if there's any sort of like 5-year average or one pager that you could provide, I think that would just be helpful for all of us to understand the benefit of this event. It is a kind of a fiesta within a fiesta, because it's the longest event during Fiesta. I don't even think NIOSA is this long, right?
No, it's
yeah.
not.
So this is a big one, but just I think for context for us to understand, not so much on that last year, but you know, over the last 5 years. Thank you.
Certainly.
Actually, ma'am, just a couple of other questions. So if this $5 fee is not approved, will the private security function still be provided?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have a sense of how many fewer officers are needed as a result of this private security being utilized? Because you're saying it's more secure. Ideally, then there's less of a need for police officers. I'm not sure if we've done that analysis, though. Go
Sure,
ahead,
Mayor.
please.
So when we worked with the consejos a couple of years ago, because we increased our public safety, our police presence last year, we took into account the measures that they are trying to raise the fee to pay for. So it's not to offset the current police presence that we have. It was really a partnership between the consejos and the city to make sure the event is safe for the community.
Yeah, understood, not meant to offset. However, if the security itself results in less need for security as a result of some fewer incidents, if you will, then that is helpful for us to understand. Okay. Let's see. Councilwoman Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Shannon, for the presentation. I wanted to hear the input from my colleagues before giving comment. This is a very interesting item for me in particular, right? In the mid-2000s, I lost a friend to gun violence at the carnival. It was when it moved to the Alamo Dome grounds, right? And hearing the conversation, public safety, and now I'm thinking, is it because there wasn't an entry fee that was his life less valuable because there wasn't an entry fee, right? But I'm also thinking about the folks who work at Market Square, whether you're a vendor or a waitress at Mi Tierra or La Margarita, right? This potentially impacts the flow of traffic into the restaurants. And I say that as someone who's worked at Market Square from roughly 2008 to 2016. So pre-Consejo having events and then during, right? And just seeing the similar flow of participation there at Market Square. And my question is, right, public safety is key, and I'm grateful to hear that you all will continue to provide that security if this item does not move forward today. But did y'all have a conversation about potentially transferring the costs associated with additional security onto alcohol sales, right? Because I'm thinking about, yes, people will likely buy less alcohol if it costs more, but that's less potential of danger out on the road, right? So was that something that y'all's board considered? And what was the discussion?
Yeah, I don't think that was ever considered that I'm aware of. I'm also new to this role, so maybe I might have to pivot.
Anytime, Councilwoman, anytime we ask for an increase in alcohol, we have to come back to city and let them know that. And I think we had an increase 2 years ago. We try and stay competitive in the market and not outprice ourselves. I don't know what NIOS is charging these days, but I think everyone recognizes too that our crowd's a little different too, so we try and stay reasonable with the prices that we do. I mean, all that's good for maybe next year to talk about that, maybe increasing, and maybe we don't have to charge the fee. A lot of good conversations. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of back and forth between us and the city, and it got late on us. And by the time we knew it, February was here. We submitted a letter in December to the city saying that we intended to charge, and here's how we wanted to charge. It got late on us, and so I think the mayor asked if the $5 doesn't pass today, will you still provide security? Absolutely we will, but we're going to lose again. We're going to lose our money and maybe not be able to provide scholarships because of the cost associated.
And to that point on the scholarships, what is the total amount that you all fundraise, not just with this event in particular, but in total that y'all raise for scholarships?
Over the years, it's $11 million. So last year, I think Fabian Castillo raised, it was $750,000. The year before that, John McFadden raised $1 million. I think Daniel Lee was well on his way in the $700,000 range too. So we put all that money into the scholarship organization, and this year we had 1,500 students that have applied for that scholarship. We're trying to keep the scholarship program alive. Again, I mean, we don't want to charge the $5, but we feel like we've built in enough free time. This is just to cover the acts. I mean, again, if we don't bring the music, people won't go down to Market Square during Fiesta, and it costs money, unfortunately, to bring those acts to. It's 10 days of music. That's why it's so expensive. To put the events on.
People will go to Market Square with or without a live band.
Yeah, they'll always go to Market Square, but in the numbers they go, the music drives a lot of that we bring. And so, and unfortunately we have to bring those acts, and it's quite expensive.
And I appreciate that, Walter. I think, thinking of the whole picture and the ways in which the Market Square community in particular has been impacted with much needed infrastructure. I don't have any questions for y'all, thank y'all. Much needed improvements to the facility itself, but I think as we have larger downtown conversations, what I've observed is Market Square tends to get left behind, or the short end of improvements, investment, and prioritization when it comes to ensuring that the businesses and vendors within that facility get a fair shake as we talk about expanding and redeveloping downtown. With this item in particular, I'm concerned that it may be telling of what's to come with the expansion of Project Marvel with our public spaces. And again, we all prioritize public safety. I'm grateful that, we have Sergeant Suarez here, who oversees Fiesta Public Safety with PD, who does a great job in keeping San Antonio and residents safe during Fiesta time. And I just want to ensure that, folks who continue to go to Market Square still have that opportunity. Henry did a great job of coloring the picture of what Market Square has been to San Antonio, being accessible to everyone. You used to be able to bring your backpack to have your own snacks, and that's why I would go to it, because I'm not going to pay, $20 for a turkey leg or anything like that, or a cover fee. It will deter folks from enjoying the culture, the music, and the community that ultimately has built and shaped the city of San Antonio. And when we think of Market Square and Produce Row and the rich history and culture that we have within that community, it's just, I'm a bit concerned in terms of how we may prevent more individuals from accessing that space. And I also want to caution us, right, because I've heard it not explicitly, but essentially if there's a fee, it'll deter crime and or criminals, right? We got criminals in the millions that commit just as bad crimes. So I just want to caution us from using that language that a $5 fee will keep specific individuals from committing specific crimes in this space. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Councilman Munguia.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be as brief as possible, understand the concerns on both sides of this argument. It's a really important discussion. I will say, I know, Shannon, this kind of fell into your lap recently, but I hope you're taking notes, and I anticipate that it'll be a much better process next year. I think this was not done so well. And also, I understand, the plight of the tenants, and I've spoken to them. I was an advocate for them for getting additional rent taken off of what they owed because of the construction around the area. So I will tell you, Shannon, I would say the Market Square tenants, Produce Row, are in real danger in the future, and they need a lot more support than we're currently giving them. So I understand that some of this money is going to go to that, which is great. I understand the contract that Walter explained. But to Councilman McKee Rodriguez's point and some of the other points that were made, if we have an opportunity to further subsidize this to keep it free in the future, that needs to be discussed this upcoming budget cycle. Because I don't think it would be too much more for us to invest in Fiesta, but it's a 10-day event, great music, and so while I will support the issue today, I would say that we need to do more and have our role be better in helping to keep it a free event. I understand costs go up, security costs go up. Obviously, nobody wants their child to be an innocent bystander at an event where a tragedy happens. So we need to take precautions, but we as a city need to be responsible in adding to that and trying to keep it as free as possible. So I understand this year, but let's do better. Thank you.
Councilmember Viagran.
Thank you. Totally brought down the Fiesta vibe, but I just want to I want to start with this. If you are a District 3 resident and Market Square is on your calendar for the weekend and you can't make it, please reach out to the office and we will help you get that entry fee if you're going in at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock during the weekends. So I am committed to helping my residents, but there are a number of free events around the city to go to that people can go to. I am not for, let me make it clear, underwriting security cost or subsidizing security costs, because I think if we do it for Market Square, we have to start doing it for everyone, which includes the south side of San Antonio, the events on the east side and the west side of San Antonio, Pack Fest. Why aren't we helping them? It just can go on and on. So residents of District 3, reach out to us so you can go on the weekend, not for underwriting security cost. And, we're going to have some hard conversations and make some difficult choices. If this doesn't work out and this goes the way of La Semana del Alegre, then it goes that way. But we need to sit down and have those conversations. They brought with us something that we could continue to make money on. It's not ideal, but we'll do it this year. And then let's have hard conversations during the budget. But public safety is a priority, and one shooting is one shooting too many. But Shannon, my question for you is, do we have the hours of operation for the businesses in and around the Market Square? Are they all the same, or do some of them work at different hours?
Yes, the hours of operation are 10 to 6 typically, but then they can request those additional hours. So during the event, they're open until 8:30.
Can we get a list of those businesses that are staying open until 8 and those businesses that are closing at 6 as we move forward? I'd like to see those businesses so we can see how we can help them.
Okay.
And then, we do have to, maybe we have too many Fiesta events downtown. Maybe we don't have enough. There's lots of places to activate. So we can have the larger discussion about who this community is and telling our story. But again, what I find upsetting is the fact that San Antonio isn't just the original San Antonio, and the South Side again is getting ignored, and they contribute and enjoy Fiesta just like everybody else. So I'll be supporting this today and look forward to that information as we make decisions in the future.
Councilman Galvan on the second round.
I just want to wrap up my comments around just a couple quick things, right? I think very clear we all agree public safety is paramount to this event and to all events in Fiesta and in general to all the work that we do here. And I don't think anyone's asking to remove security, the thing that we're looking to fund, whether it's through some kind of subsidy or whether it's through a fee. It's still making sure that security is there. I just want to make that very clear for the conversation we're having here, because I think it's a little bit of push and pull about, we're doing this because of this reason, and we all agree on that. The only thing that we don't agree on is potentially if this fee should go in place or not to cover that, or if there's another way that we could do it. And I understand at this particular moment it's difficult to find fees or money in the city budget to do so. But I echo a lot of the things that my council colleagues have shared about the role that this particular event plays, the role our Market Square plays in our entire community and culture and recreation, and in our economic development as well. And I share the concern too about the fact that this came up through an A session, and I understand maybe it felt a bit smaller the back end, but I would appreciate in the future that we have better conversations about this with the council as it's going forward, given what I just laid out about Market Square and what we've all kind of talked about with Market Square and its importance to our city and our downtown and our culture, especially as we're looking at downtown West and its changes in environment and in markets. There's a clear need to make sure that the public space that we have there is also being leveraged in a positive way for our entire community, and that means having better conversations about it in its entirety. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who answered the questions today, who brought this issue to our attention, and know that we're always trying to find ways to make sure that this particular event is accessible as possible to all of our residents. That's the spirit of Market Square, the spirit of Fiesta, frankly. So I'll leave that there. Thank you, Mayor.
Any further comments on this item? Okay. Thank you again to everybody that spoke on both sides of this issue. Thank you, Maria, for laying out that the city contributes $3 million in total to Fiesta. Consejos, thank you for the work that you do to raise money for scholarships for deserving youth in our community. Just did a quick math, though. It's spending $1 million to raise $85K is like spending $1,000 to raise $85. So I know we're going to have additional conversations about what security needs to look like and who funds it, but also welcome Consejo's thoughts and input on maybe a different model that helps to generate more revenue. One thing also, Shannon, I think would be helpful to look at next year. There's technology that can help with some of these security challenges that we have. Those folks that have Clear at the airport, I don't know if we've ever used Clear at Fiesta, but at some of the major sporting events, entertainment events throughout the country, Clear is an important partner and may help to defray some of the costs like we're discussing here. At the end of the day, this really conversation was about who enjoys and who pays, right? When you think even about Councilman McKee Rodriguez's point earlier about who's in the salad, who's in the paella. And I'll take a paella, it just needs 11 spoons. But ultimately, how we best make this an event that is truly reflective of everybody in our community being able to enjoy it. So thankful that there will be security provided irrespective of. Okay. There being no further discussion, there's a motion and second for approval of item number 17. Please vote.
Aye.
Mine's not working. Hold on. Jeez. No. I'm a no. The motion carries. That is the conclusion of our business. The time is now 11:43 and this meeting is adjourned.